Howdy, guys. Welcome to night 25 of Big Brother 23, and welcome to Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. A good Sunday to y'all. Before we talk about live feeds, let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. Yeah, Saturdays are always big in the Big Brother house. We had a veto competition, kind of important veto competition for a couple of people. Now, first of all, the competition, the veto players. We had Christian, Whitney, and Hannah, obviously the nominees in the HOH. But we also had Derek X, Azza, and Claire. Now, I don't think that Claire or Azza, if they won the veto, would use it. But Derek X, kind of a tough position. If he won veto, would he feel obligated to use it on Whitney? Would he not use it? With the understanding that Whitney's just a pawn and to keep the rest of the royal flush happy. Kind of a tough position for Derek X. One that he probably doesn't want to be in at all. Now, we don't know yet, was he picked by Hannah or was he just a random selection as part of the veto draw? Don't know yet. We'll find out later, I'm sure. But here's the thing. It doesn't really matter because we now know who the veto winner was, not Derek X, and he's probably big sigh of relief for that. Now, the veto winner from yesterday, Christian. Christian won HOH. Now he has won the veto ceremony as well. Some type of physical competition, it sounds like, with maybe rolling balls, throwing balls of some sort. Not sure what it is. We'll find out here at the TV episode coming up. But anyway, so Christian has won veto. Now, how smart was it for Christian to win this thing? Yeah, it allows him to keep the picks the same, but there are several people in this veto competition that would have kept it the same anyway. And really, it seems like everyone was he was a little bit iffy, he and Alyssa, as far as whether Whitney or Hannah were going to be the target anyway. And he did have a backup of Brittany if needed. So it really maybe doesn't seem to me like it would have been that huge a deal for him to just let someone else win the veto instead of himself. Now, having won it, he's going to be viewed even more by the rest of this house as a potential comp beast going forward. Going to put the target on his back even a little bit bigger by him winning this veto. Now, we did hear in a conversation just later in the day, he was talking to Kylan, and he was saying, look, if I'd thrown the veto to Derek X, it would have been too obvious. So I don't know if they were the two left or it was head-to-head type veto competition. Just don't know yet. But it sounds like at least Christian considered throwing the veto and just didn't think that it would give a good look if he did it. So there may be a price to pay, but at least in the short term, by Christian winning the veto, it means the nominations are set. Hannah and Whitney are going to stay on the block. Enjoy your week, Brittany. It may be the only week you've got where you aren't on the block, but at least for this week, enjoy the next few days. I don't know what we're going to do without getting to hear a eviction speech from Brittany this Thursday. We'll survive. But enjoy your week, Brittany. Now, so those are on the block. Now, the other thing, too, we heard a little waffling back and forth over the last day or two from Christian and Alyssa about, is the main target Whitney? Is the main target Hannah? Back and forth. It seems like with lots of conversations, the Alliance doing a lot of campaigning for Hannah, it really seems like at this point, Whitney is the somewhat unanimous choice in the House to go home next week. So we're facing another week of probably not a lot of campaigning, not a whole lot of controversy back and forth. Seems like Whitney's going to be the target going home. And then we'll see what happens at the next HOH on Thursday. So with that on mind, let's get on to the conversations. Lots of chit chat as the target's already been decided. The house guests got in the backyard around midnight or so, maybe a little bit before that. So once they get in the backyard, you see even less strategy talk, typically, because everyone is just so happy to be outdoors and enjoying the fresh air and all of that. So not a lot of huge conversations, but we got a few of them that are worth talking about. So let's get right into it. First of all, Kylan and Claire are talking about possible votes on Thursday. They spent a lot of time talking about different scenarios, who would get votes, who wouldn't. The main takeaway, Kylan is nervous that the Kings could potentially strike a deal with the Jokers to keep Whitney, get Hannah out instead, and then start going against the Queens and Derek X. It's a possibility. I haven't heard that much conversation, but they're considering all the different scenarios, and it's hard to do. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust anyone in this house. But Kylan is a little bit worried about that. We've got Alyssa and Derek X are talking. Alyssa is asking, saying, hey, if Hannah had won HOH, would she have been put up Alyssa or Christian? Asking Derek X this. What would Hannah do? Derek X is saying, yeah, she wouldn't put y'all up. If she wins HOH, y'all are safe. You don't have to worry about her a payback or anything like that. No, don't worry about it. You're good. Why would Derek X say anything else? He's working with Hannah. You're not going to tell the people that are basically HOH that, yeah, if she survives and gets HOH, she's coming after you. So kind of a throwaway question. But again, Alyssa and Derek X are starting to talk more and more, and we'll see what the payoff is on that in just a second. Alyssa actually is talking to Derek X about who she wants gone. She says that her eviction order after this week would be Brittany, Aza, and then Hannah. Now, why do you tell someone this? Yes, I know Alyssa feels pretty tight with Derek X right now, but when you start talking about eviction orders, when you start putting out names yourself, Alyssa is giving Derek X all kinds of information, all kinds of ammunition. If somewhere down the road things don't go quite the way they're expecting it to go, now Derek X has 3 different names that he can throw out to other people that could really come back and haunt Alyssa. So the information tight. Don't be talking about all that stuff, but Alyssa does. Derek X is saying, look, Hannah and I are tight, but if I had to put Hannah up, it's a game. I'm going to keep game separate from personal, which is good. It's what you need to do. But he's saying, hey, if I had to, I'd put Hannah up. Alyssa comes back and says, yeah, I'd do the same thing to Christian. If I had to, I'd put him up. And I've already told him that. I don't buy it. I'm surprised now. Maybe she would, but I just don't see Christian ever putting Alyssa up or Alyssa ever putting Christian up if they had any choice in the matter whatsoever. But I could be wrong. Prove me wrong. Derek X is talking about, here's each part. Derek X is saying, look, everyone keeps telling me that I need to be going against Christian and you. They're really trying to push me to go after you guys. I would much rather work with y'all as opposed to work against y'all. It would be much better for me if that was the case. And all of a sudden, Alyssa, hearing this, starts suggesting, hey, have you considered a final 4? Myself and Christian, you and Hannah? How about a final 4 of us? You don't need to work against us. Well, Derek X, he seems on board with it. He seems pretty receptive. So he's a man. Okay. And at that point, or a little bit later, Alyssa then goes back and tells Christian what was proposed, this new final 4. But she spins it a little bit differently. She says Derek X brought it up as opposed to what actually happened of her suggesting it. Christian seems okay with it, but they've got a couple of other final 4s as well. And so they're wondering if they can squeeze one more in. Why not? Everyone's got alliances with everyone else in this house, it seems like, except for Whitney and except for Brittany, who are kind of off on their own little things without a lot of alliances. Everyone else has alliances anywhere, so why not? One more final 4. We're not going to blow the horn. We're not going to call it official yet because I haven't heard a name for it, but at least then a new final 4 is being floated around. We've got another conversation. Kylan again campaigning for Hannah by telling Christian that Whitney says Whitney would prefer to go home. If she's going to go home, she'd prefer to go home now, pre-jury, so she can be with her kids rather than getting stuck in a jury house for an extended period of time. And I kind of get it, and probably that is the case. I can imagine Whitney feeling just that way. But at the same time, Kylan telling Christian that, I think it's just more encouragement, another reason why, hey, send Whitney home right now, protect Hannah. It's better for everyone involved. So he's certainly doing the campaigning. Again, I think Whitney is the target because the cookout has really been pushing hard to make Whitney the target. Brittany and Claire are talking. They're agreeing. They're both agreeing. The Kings have got to be broken up. They're such a strong team that they have got to be broken up before we get to jury. Is either one serious? I think they're both serious. I just think that neither one necessarily wants to be the person to take the shot. So they're kind of egging the other one on, talking about how dangerous the Kings are, hoping the other one gets the power and the other one takes the shot instead. They both prefer not to have to be the one to do that. They are worried about the Kings, about all 4 of them making jury, that if one of those 4 Kings makes it to the final 2, they've got 3 jury members that are in tight with them that count as votes. We're getting to the point in the season where who's on jury, who's not on jury actually does make a difference and does come into play when you're deciding to send someone home. We're going to see more and more of that for the next few weeks as well. Later, we've got Hannah expressing concern to Derek X about the Team King and having them all on the jury as well. I think everyone in this house, except for the Kings, and maybe even some of the Kings, would be perfectly happy with knocking some of this power down to the Kings before we get to the jury. Now, keep in mind, we're getting ready to lose the teams themselves after this week. The teams go away, but that doesn't mean there won't be some residual loyalties and relationships with the Kings and with some of these other groups. Jokers, I certainly see Derek F. and Ozzy and Brittany continuing to have a tight bond even after the teams go away. All right, another thing that has nothing to do with Big Brother, this actually has to do with Survivor, but I thought it was very interesting. Christian mentions that he made it to the finals of the Survivor tryouts, I think he said 3 years ago, but he didn't make it because he was told that Jeff Probst didn't like him. That's kind of rough, isn't it? To not just, hey, sorry, my friend, you didn't quite make it to the end, but yeah, you would have made it, but Jeff really didn't like you. So that, I think Christian's kind of taking that a little bit personal. Thinking maybe after he gets out, he could go on Survivor again, but he said, yeah, probably not. Jeff doesn't like me. So hey, it's interesting to hear that he almost made it onto a Survivor instead of Big Brother. We've got Xavier and Tiffany talking in the storage room. Pretty detailed conversation with this, just touching bases with each other. Xavier is thinking that she says the Kings, but I think she's really mainly talking about Alyssa or Sarah Beth. She's saying that the Kings are going to come for Hannah next week. And Tiffany is thinking that even if the teams go away, Sarah Beth is still going to put up Hannah. We had a lot of conversations last night with Sarah Beth really pushing hard to get Hannah out the door. And as she does that, now we get some of the cookout that kind of is pushing back against Sarah Beth quite a bit, especially Tiffany. Man, Tiffany was on a roll last night. She is really gunning for Sarah Beth right now, and Sarah Beth is kind of gunning for Hannah. So we've got some targets in different people's sights right now. So again, Tiffany is saying that Sarah Beth's going to put up Hannah regardless of what happens with the team structure. Now earlier, Tiffany was also dragging Sarah Beth to Azza. So again, she's certainly campaigning against her, which is interesting because remember, we've got the Jackpot Girls Alliance, which consists of Tiffany, Claire, and Sarah Beth. Well, Tiffany's aiming for Sarah Beth, so we might as well just wipe the Jackpots Alliance off the board and call that a non-alliance at this point in time. But at least once upon a time, that Girls Alliance was a thing. Maybe not so much now. Tiffany is also talking to Xavier, saying that she really sees two duos that she's worried about. One is Alyssa and Christian. The other one is Kylan and Sarah Beth. And she's wondering, saying, if I get power, why should I not take the shot against one or the other? And as they talk, they both basically agree that they want Christian gone, but they don't feel that either one of them can make that move just because of their relationships, alliances, personal relationships with Christian already. It's just like the previous conversation with Brittany and I can't remember who else it was, Brittany and Claire. They're both saying, yeah, we got to go after the Kings. I don't think they do it. You do it, and vice versa. They're both saying we can't go after Christian as much as we want to break him and Alyssa up, get him out of this house. So they basically decided that, look, the one person who would go after Christian is Derek F. We need to get Derek F to do it. Well, we'll see if Derek F wins a HOH, and if so, they're going to be all in Derek F's ear trying to get him perhaps to do just that. Excuse me. We've got another conversation. Alyssa, Sarah Beth, and Xavier are in the backyard. Everyone's enjoying the backyard now. It's opened up. They're talking about, excuse me, guys. They're talking about they're going beyond juror, and they're talking about the final 2 and 3 votes. They're wondering whether any of them would be a bitter juror, which of them maybe would consider strategy as the biggest selling point versus comp wins if it comes down to voting for a final 2. And they're just saying, hey, what would you do if, which one would you consider more important? This is important information to hold on to as a juror. Figure out who in this house is going to be the bitter juror person. Who's going to really respect the comp wins? And if you're not a comp beast, maybe that's the person you need to be getting out of the door a little bit sooner rather than later. So every bit of information is important in Big Brother house, but if you figure out how some of these people are going to operate as a juror, even more so. If you happen to get lucky enough to make it to the final two, you know just a little bit more how you need to sell yourself when you're talking to that person or to the jury themselves. So really kind of important information to be asking around. Whitney and Sarah Beth are talking. Sarah Beth is giving Whitney a bit of a pep talk. She's saying, look, don't give up. But Whitney's saying, I don't even know how to campaign for the veto to be used because I don't know who I would suggest to be put up in my place that they're going to take seriously. And she's saying that she thinks maybe she got burned, that she's on the block and getting ready to go home because she talked too much about a girl wanting to win the final thing, which scared the guys. It's not really that, Whitney. It's more that you just didn't establish the right relationships. Whitney is not in the Cookout Alliance. Whitney is also not in the Royal Flush Alliance. So she really doesn't have anyone protecting her back right now. She's expendable. It's not anything so much that Whitney has done. It's really more that she just hasn't have the people around her to protect her at this point in time. There's some controversy going on in the house. Brittany discovered a puddle by the toilet. Not sure what it is. I'm sure everyone can guess what they think it is. And seems like Christian is getting the blame for that particular little incident. No quicker way inside the Big Brother house than to get other house guests mad at you and potentially put a big old target on your back than doing things like that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if there's any repercussions with that. But Tiffany and Xavier talking some more. They're agreeing or thinking that no battle back is going to take place due to COVID. And they're right. There isn't a pre-jury battle back. Post-jury, don't know. The season is only 86 days, so it is entirely possible that we're not going to have a post-jury battle back either, especially if they're still going to do a double eviction. Now, you could have a COVID type situation and still have a battle back if you did something similar to my season, whereas people are voted out after the jury. They still have to live in the house and watch everyone before they eventually have a battle back where 3 go home, 1 stays. I think that'd be kind of cool, just my own personal feeling. I'm sure it'll happen, but it'd be kind of cool. But they've decided there's not a preseason, a pre-jury battle back, and they're right. Xavier is also talking a little bit about America's player. They're kind of thinking that Sarah Beth could be America's player. She could be America's agent. They're worried that she could become America's favorite player if she makes it at least in the jury. So again, more worrying about Sarah Beth. But I thought the America's favorite player was kind of funny. I was accused of that during my season. Everyone, Tommy and Chrissy, a lot of them thought I was America's favorite player, and me carrying around Orwell all the time was some kind of task I had to do to win extra money. Now, obviously, none of that was true, but the paranoia, the suspicions get so big in this house, and this is just an example of it. With them thinking Sarah Beth, something's going on with her, that she's got more support than they realize. Sarah Beth, meanwhile, has told Azza that she works at a drug testing lab. As far as I know, and I may be wrong, but as far as I know, Azza is the first person that Sarah Beth has told her what she actually does as opposed to being a voice actress. It's always important to see who's willing to reveal personal information to who else. That shows a lot about who you trust, who you don't trust. Right, we got Tiffany and Claire talking. Tiffany is saying, if this is a double, that I would put up Sarah Beth and Kylan, or maybe put up Sarah Beth and Brittany. But either way, I'm sending Sarah Beth home. Again, Tiffany really going hard against Sarah Beth last night. At the same time, we're just a little after Claire and Sarah Beth are talking. Claire is saying that it's important to get Sarah Beth to jury also. Claire's already gone. We know she has safety, but she's saying it's important to get you to jury as well. But Sarah Beth is worried. She says that as a member of the Kings, I know people are coming after the Kings, and as a member of the Kings, I could be the target next week. Sarah Beth's the target in a lot of people's eyes right now, and I'm not even sure she completely understands that. But Sarah Beth's saying that she hopes she could beat another King if there were 2 Kings put on the block. She's counting on Tiffany's vote as well to support her if such a scenario happened. Well, Sarah Beth, that may not be the case. Could she survive a vote if it was her versus, say, Christian or Alyssa? Perhaps. Could she survive a vote if it was her and Xavier on the block? Not a chance in the world. But Sarah Beth's knowing that she's got a bit of a target on her back. Meanwhile, we've got Hannah, Tiffany, and Claire in the bathroom talking. Hannah's worried that Derek X could be a target for the Kings. I don't really think so. Not yet. Although Eventually. I mean, Alyssa mentioned Derek X's name is one of the ones over the next few weeks. So somewhere down the road. Hannah is also wondering why she is on Sarah Beth's radar. Again, Sarah Beth's been pushing hard for Hannah tonight. So she's wondering why. Tiffany is saying, I don't know. I really don't know. And it's funny because Tiffany and Sarah Beth just had basically the same conversation, listening to Sarah Beth talking about targeting Hannah. Claire is telling Hannah, hey, here's one bit of advice. Don't practice your memory skills in front of the memory wall and all. Don't practice that in front of other people and let them see how smart you are. Great information, great advice. Tommy and Christy from my season spent a lot of time going over the dates and memory in front of other people, and it was obvious how strong they were, what great memory they had. Kind of hurt them in the long run because I certainly didn't trust them as a result of that, or was a little more threatened because of that. So, yeah, don't practice and show off how smart you are in front of other people when you can avoid it. A few more things here. Christian and Alyssa are playing around in the yacht room. Xavier is telling them, say, hey, just go on up to the HOH room and you can get X-rated up there, you two. Just head on upstairs instead of screwing around down here, which they eventually do. There may have been a little undercover work going on, and we're not talking about detectives and investigations. I'm not going to try to guess what may or may not have happened. I just say they had the covers on over them, and this nomance showmance, they had a little snuggling going on, and I'll just leave it at that because I don't know any more than that. Storage room, we've got Xavier and Tiffany talking again. Tiffany is saying, gosh, I feel like I just keep talking about these two in the storage room. Tiffany is saying that Sarah Beth really needs to go again. Xavier's agreeing. Both wondering if she's America's player. I think I already talked about this. So you get to hear it again. Tiffany is saying that her birthday is on Thursday. She would love to see Sarah Beth on the block to celebrate Tiffany's birthday. It's brutal. Tiffany is also saying that they just need to get the Cookout Alliance, the 6 Cookout Alliance members to jury. And if they get there, they're gold. And I agree with her. I think she's right. If they get to that point and they are still intact, they'll start going after each other, and we'll get a little drama with that. But I think overall, it's a pretty good sign that someone from the Cookout's going to walk out with this, the grand prize at the end of the season. Tiffany is talking about Alliance's relationship. She's saying that she thinks she has Claire on her side to get Sarah Beth out, that she can get Claire to join in with her to vote against Sarah Beth. Does she? Maybe. I mean, again, we've got this girls' alliance that they were supposed to be tight with one another, but that's gone. So who knows? She very well may have Claire as she suspects she does. And then one final thing. Apparently, an airplane flew over at some point during the day. I didn't see the feeds when it happened. I don't know all the details. They had a banner behind it that may have said SBJ. I've seen that online. I'm not sure how valid that is, but something that didn't necessarily directly reference Big Brother, but just had just a little bit of information that makes people think maybe it could have had something to do with Big Brother. And because of that, Hannah maybe apparently saw it. Sarah Beth is upset because she thinks Hannah saw it, thinks it's referring to her somehow, but Hannah won't say what it was, or I don't know the details. All I know, a plane flew overhead. Hannah's upset, or Hannah theoretically saw it. Sarah Beth thinks that it may have referred to her, but she doesn't know. And from what I've heard, maybe it didn't. Again, paranoia, suspicion everywhere inside the Big Brother house, which as viewers makes it that much more fun. But we'll see. We'll see if that's talked about or if it just goes away over the next day or two. And then finally, lights off around 3 o'clock or so in the morning. So they called it. It's not an early night. I guess for Big Brother that maybe it's an earlier night. But they called it a night, and we get shut down after that. But guys, there you have it. Tomorrow is Monday. We'll have the veto ceremony. We'll find out. Don't expect it to be used, but hey, we'll find out for certain. But meanwhile, we'll see what happens this evening, if there's any big game planning, conspiring. It's going to be primarily related to what happens with HOH next week as opposed to what's going on this week. I think, although expect the unexpected, right, guys? We could wake up tomorrow with a whole different perspective on everything. And if so, I'll let y'all know. Guys, y'all have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow morning. Cheers, my friends. SKD 143.